This is the new smart #1 Brabus, and it's a little bit like upgrading from a regular coffee to a large one, because for not much extra cash you get a lot more of a kick. And in this video I'm going to explain exactly why by talking around the exterior, the interior of this car, taking it for a drive, and of course launching it to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. Could this be a performance car bargain? We'll find out. I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Car Wow. Buy, sell, Car Wow. This smart #1 Brabus starts from just over £43,000, which is around £4,000 more than the range-topping normal smart #1. That car has a single electric motor driving the rear axle, and it puts out 272 horsepower. However, this Brabus edition has an extra motor on the front axle. It's not under there because this is a little fog. Anyhow, as a result, this thing puts out a combined 428 horsepower. So shall we find out what that means? I'm going to launch it. Brabus says this car will do 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. But let's find out the reality with my specialist timing gear. Left foot on the brake, floor the throttle. And off we go. Wow, it's quick. 3.78 seconds. That's impressive. In fact, here's a montage of me launching some internal combustion engine performance cars with their 0 to 60 times, which aren't quite as impressive as this electric car's. 4.34. 3.85. 3.85. 0 to 60, 3.87. 4.5 seconds. In order to cope with the extra performance, Brabus has completely reworked the #1 chassis. So what they've done is fitted coilover suspension, lowered the car. It's got uprated active anti-roll bars, completely different hubs and subframes at the front and at the rear. It's fitted with a limited slip differential on both axles. I mean, it's completely crazy. They've even widened the track, and of course it gets uprated brakes and performance tyres. All of that is complete b****. All that they've actually done is slightly tweaked the front suspension to cope with the added weight of the motor. So what does that mean to how this car drives? Does it feel sporty enough? Let's find out. Okay, let's see what this car is like on a twisty road. Is it fun? Is it engaging? Does it feel truly sporty, or is it a one-trick performance pony? Around the bends, it's actually pretty good. Grip is decent, it doesn't lean too much, yet that's the same as the standard car. There's very little difference. The suspension is actually really well judged for British roads. So this section of road is pretty bumpy, but it's dealing with it rather well. And electric cars sometimes have overly bouncy suspension, but this one doesn't. The steering is pretty sharp, but it's the same as in the normal car. Allows you to put it exactly where you want it to go, and it really does hold on in the bends pretty nicely. And then of course you've got all that performance to rocket you out of them, and the four-wheel drive traction means you really can put all that power down and you just get slingshotted out of the bends. You can cover ground quickly in this car, you really can. Is it fun though? Well, it sort of is. You know, just that ability to, whoa, do that at the bends. It's great, but there is a slight issue, and it's not the fact that this car has a larger turning circle than the standard one because of that extra motor on the front axle, because it doesn't. It's the same. It's this number, by the way, so it's very manoeuvrable. But ultimately, while this car is pretty impressive and it's very quick, it doesn't really have that involvement and adjustability that you get from an internal combustion engine performance car. I mean, yeah, the brakes are good. You don't really notice the regen, and sometimes with electric cars, the brake feel for a performance car isn't great, but they've got that right. But there isn't that ability to get the car rotating so well like you can with an internal combustion engine car through the bends, so you don't really want to fling it about too much. Also, there's not the control that you get on the throttle. Even though you've got all that power, it just doesn't feel that adjustable. And then there's the fact that you're not changing gears, you're not having to manage the torque curve of the engine, you're not going bam 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 with a manual and a clutch and blipping the throttle on downshifts, or even just pulling a paddle bam 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 and getting the car just like singing and revving it out. You do lose that with an electric car, even a performance electric car. They just miss that element of fun that you get from a car with an internal combustion engine. Now, some of you might be watching thinking, Matt, you're just like some old bloke, you know, when cars were first introduced, going, well, do you know what, cars are not as much fun as, you know, gripping a horse between your legs and like pulling on the reins and smelling the horse manure. But I guess I'm an old-fashioned petrol head at heart. For performance cars, part of the element is how engaging they are to drive on a twisty road, not just the straight line performance. And so far, electric performance cars haven't delivered that in the same way that an internal combustion engine performance car does. Visually, this Brabus version of this Smart #1 does look more aggressive than the standard car, mainly because of these vents here in the bonnet, which serve no purpose whatsoever because it doesn't have an internal combustion engine. Therefore, why does it need these vents? Still kind of like them though. I also like the red effect here on the grille and this slightly extended front splitter, once again with a red stripe and the Brabus logo. Moving down the side, you've got a unique design of alloy wheel, though the size is no bigger than the maximum size you can get on the standard #1 at 19 inches, though you do have brake calipers painted red. The brakes themselves are no different. Now down the side, you've got these extended side skirts with red piping and the Brabus logo. Moving around the back, the only changes are slightly different trim here with, once again, a red stripe and the Brabus logo, and a slightly extended roof spoiler. I like the visual upgrades. I do think it looks better than the MG4 X-Power, though that car is less expensive and has slightly more power. Here on the inside, the major changes include plenty of red accents. So you've got red stitching here, red stitching on the steering wheel, which is a Brabus Sport steering wheel, flat bottom and Alcantara on the outer side. There's red stitching on the doors. On the seats, of course, Brabus logo there on the headrest. You've got slightly different material on the seats. It's grippy Alcantara and red seat belts, which I really do like. Look, the car is instantly more sporty now. I really like how Brabus have extended the red sporty theme here in the back as well, look. And you get to really appreciate the red inserts here on the headrest from the rear. Lovely. Other than that, it's just like a normal #1, so pretty blooming comfy in the back with loads of room. Decent headroom, decent knee room, quite spacious for 3 people in the back at once, and loads of foot room as well because it's a bespoke electric car with a completely flat floor. Very practical and comfy. The Smart #1 Brabus has the same boot capacity as the standard car, so up to 411 litres. There that is with the seats slid as far forward as possible. If you have them as far back as possible, like I've got now, then that reduces to 273 litres. Anyway, that brings on to 5 annoying things about this Smart #1 Brabus. You don't have an easy access driving mode select button on the steering wheel like you do in many performance cars. Instead, you have to touch this touch sensitive button here below the infotainment screen. And that's quite hard to do when you're driving, so you end up resting your hand on this panel here, which then opens up that cubby hole. So then you have to put it back before you can enjoy your drive. The Brabus #1 weighs in at 1900 kilograms, which is 100 kilos more than the standard car, which means that the extra motor at the front and the drive shaft are 100 kilos in total. It's quite a lot extra really, isn't it? I love Alcantara on a car's steering wheel, but the fact of the matter is that you really then can't eat crisps or anything like that when you're driving because your greasy hands will soon ruin the finish on there. On the image of the car that you get on the 360-degree parking view, it's just of a normal Smart #1. They haven't tweaked the graphics to show you that your car is in fact the Brabus. The material on these Brabus seats make an embarrassing squeaking sound when you move the seat back. Have a listen. Oh, it's just like I've let out a cheeky little fart. Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5. This Brabus logo on the steering wheel is illuminated, which looks kind of cool. Although of course you can only see it when it's dark. So just look, I'll do this so you can see. Can you see that? Yeah. Considering this Brabus has 57% more power than the standard #1, the range only falls by 25 miles, which is less than 10% compared to the standard car. It's supposed to be capable of 248 miles on a single charge. We'll find out what the reality is in a minute. I'll tell you what's also impressive, the fact that you're only having to pay an extra 10% on the asking price for this Brabus version of the Smart #1 over the range-topping standard car to get your extra 57% more power. What's more, this car comes fully loaded with goodies such as automatic cruise control with lane keeping assist and the ability to keep your safe distance from the car in front with automatic braking. It also has a huge sunroof and a heads-up display. The front seats may have Brabus written on them, but they're still as practical as in the standard car, which means you have ISOFIX on the front passenger seat, which is really useful for parents who want to keep their eye on their child while they're driving. Finally then, let's see what this Brabus version of the Smart is like as a daily driver. The first thing I'm going to do is test the pickup when you're just cruising along. Then you join a dual carriageway and you want to speed up from 40 to 70. So I'm at 40, I'm going to floor it. 70, that quick. I mean, this is like a rocket ship. And then when you are cruising at 70, it's comfy. It's quiet, little bit of wind noise from around here, bit of tyre noise as well, but overall a very nice, comfy, relaxing car. Just like the standard car actually. There is no detriment for it being the performance version, although that does bring me onto the economy, or should that be efficiency? So this thing is averaging 34.6 kilowatts per 100 miles. And when I do the conversion, that works out to 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour, and when I multiply that up by the car's 62 kilowatt hour battery pack, means this thing is doing about 180 miles on a full charge, whereas it's supposed to do getting on for 250 miles. That's about 75% of what the maker claims, which isn't particularly good. So then, what's my final verdict on the Smart #1 Brabus? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, do you know what? I reckon you should go right ahead and buy this car. You see, I think you should go right ahead and buy the standard Smart #1, and that starts at £36,000. But if you want the one with all the kit, it's £39,000. And you only have to pay an extra £4,000 for this Brabus version, which has all the kit as well, but an extra 150 odd horsepower. I think it's a no-brainer. If I was buying a #1, this is the one I'd get. I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know what you think of my verdict in the comments below. Click on those windows there for some more videos, and on that box there to go to CarWow to see how much money you can save on your next car. Thanks for watching.